Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at the Waterhole. We have started at Milady Dam with a very indecisive elephant bull. I feel like he's not too sure if he's staying or going. He's still thirsty, some more to drink. My name is Kerry Dupree, and I'll be joining you this afternoon live at the Waterhole. On our MC team, we have Nadine, and on the tech side, we have John today. It is a lovely afternoon, nice sunny, warm afternoon here in Olifant's Game Reserve. Looks nice and cloudy. So just a reminder, folks, that this is a live and interactive experience. You can watch us on our app, and if you're watching on our website, you can register to ask any questions. Let us know what you'd like to see today. Join in the chitter-chatter. You can use the QR code on screen now if you are watching, and if you are on X, you can head over to don't forget to use the hashtag @WildEarth, and there's also a WhatsApp number as well that you can send us those questions and comments via WhatsApp. So what a lovely way to start off the day. I feel like this elephant has maybe had a warm day and he's just not quite sure what he wants to do with the rest of his day. It looks like it's drying up in lots of parts of South Africa at the moment. I know Sabi Sands is also looking like it's getting a bit dry, and as all these watering holes dry up, it forces a lot of the animals to start coming to these pumped watering holes so we can see a lot more wildlife. What a lovely way to start the afternoon. This male looks like he is excreting some liquid from his temporal gland, so he could be a young bull that's in musk. When they are still quite young and in musk, they sometimes lose their marbles a little bit or don't really know how to control themselves. But I love the older bulls, the big old bulls, generally are a lot more used to all these hormones being in their bodies, a lot less temperamental, shall we say. Mercedes Bean, thank you for joining us and for joining in the chitter-chatter of the day. Deb Davis, thank you. Lovely to have you with us this afternoon. Sorry, folks, I think we had trouble with our feed, so we've just linked across to Jackie's pan over in Sabi Sands, where not too long ago we had an entire herd of buffalo that were down here drinking. We were hoping maybe there would be some activity, maybe the lions would be attracted and make a kill, or our crocodile friend that lives in this pan, hoping maybe the crocodile might go for one of those young buffalo calves. There's a hummerkop, sounds male and female hummerkop vocalizing. Alright, well, it doesn't seem like too much happening here. Crazy how there was just a buffalo herd here, now they've all moved off. So why don't we head across to the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre and see how Tammy and her little cubs are doing. Oh, it has been so lovely watching Tammy and her cubs, hasn't it? Such a privilege to be able to be a part of this little family. I've been following her and her little cubs the last couple of weeks, and I know that a few days ago there was one of the cubs that hadn't opened its eyes yet that everyone is quite concerned about, but I know the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre have said that they don't want to get involved and in any way, and hopefully this little cub's eyes will open very soon on its own. So we'll keep a lookout and see if those cubs, all of these little cubs, have their eyes open yet. So yeah, looks like they're having a nice afternoon. Got some more comments coming through here. Joanne Mello, thank you for joining us and happy Saturday. I hope that everyone is having a lovely weekend. Canine Girl, yes, definitely look forward to some great sightings here today. It has been very busy on the Africam cameras. Sorry folks, looks like we're having a few technical challenges today with some of the Africam feeds. So we've just linked back across to Jackie's pan in the Sabi Sands to see what else we can find while we get all those feeds up and running again. So I was talking about how this week has been a very busy week on the Africam cameras. There's been so much happening at all the different locations. There was a genet inspecting a terrapin the other night. It's quite an interesting little sighting of this very curious genet checking out this terrapin. It was quite a funny interaction to watch. About 2 nights ago, there were some lionesses that came down to Nguma Pan over in Namibia. So lovely to see 2 healthy lionesses coming for a drink. And one of my favorite Africam sightings of the last week, I think, must be the wild dog that was trying to befriend himself to a clan of hyena. So it was quite interesting. That was over at Nkoro, also at night. Very interesting interactions and behavior. So yeah, some really cool sightings coming through. Alright, so we've got a little wagtail, pied wagtail here, but there's not too much happening at Jackie's pan. So let's try head back across to Tammy and see those adorable little cubs of hers. Oh, isn't she magnificent? So we're desperately trying to have a look at all these little cubs, and I want to see if all of them have their eyes open yet. So they're starting to move around quite a lot now. It's amazing how as soon as their eyes have opened, so generally these cheetah, their eyes will open between 10 to 14 days is when their eyes are normally open by. So, and once their eyes open, it's incredible how quickly they become mobile, which is a good thing because they start exploring the world, but also makes Tammy's job very difficult to keep an eye on all these little cubs, that they don't hurt themselves or get themselves into any trouble. So in the wild, a female cheetah will have to be very protective over her little ones, make sure that they don't wander off and get picked off by a predator like lions, leopard, hyena, even a jackal. If a jackal found little cheetah cubs unattended, they would definitely take the opportunity to make an easy kill. Such cute little fluff balls. So they're starting to change color a little bit at the moment. So I literally watched one of these little cheetah being born. It's probably the one that is struggling to open its eyes, the little runt of the litter. But yeah, they've changed color quite a lot in the last few weeks. When they're quite young, they do resemble a honey badger. So they have very similar colorations to a honey badger, and it's a bit of an anti-predatory defense to deter predators, because no one wants to mess with a honey badger. They're very aggressive and resilient creatures, to say the least. So we got
Join me, Andrew Wistenholm, for an indescribable 6-night stay in the beautiful Albany of the Eastern Cape at Amakhala Game Reserve. Now, this trip is going to be action-packed with a lot of storytelling, adventure, as well as the opportunity to make everlasting memories. We'll be exploring the best of Amakhala by staying at 2 luxury lodges, which will be the perfect blend of comfort as well as wilderness. Book your spot today, and let's get ready to explore the wild beauty of Amakhala.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
Out here, every wild moment counts, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you will not miss out. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7, and you can even rewind if you have missed out on something. Enjoy the behind-the-scenes video clips as well as fireside chat, or get the early offers on our travel experiences. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
She's 9 years old, so in the wild, lifespan of a cheetah is about 10 to 11 years of age, but I know obviously in captivity most animals except for elephants do live longer in captivity. So I think the oldest cheetah in captivity was about 13 years of age. So yeah, this might be one of Tammy's last few litters. Right, getting to some comments here. Spas Inkov, yes, BK and I are currently in Valverfonden. Yeah, so lovely to still be able to broadcast and be on live at the Waterhole today with you all. And then Spas Inkov is also asking a question about at how many weeks do the cubs' color start to change. So for me, they've gotten a little bit darker underneath just in the last week or 2 weeks since I last really saw them. But yeah, generally at about 2 to 3 months their coats start changing. But in their first 6 months, it's incredible how fluffy they are. They're just these little fluff balls, these little mischievous fluff balls. And they do have quite a thick layer of fur behind their neck there. And that is for the mother when she's moving them from one area to the next. She'll grab their little scruff of fluff on the back of their neck, and it helps her to be able to move them from one hiding spot to the next. Because remember, in the animal kingdom out in the wild, cheetah unfortunately are not very high at the top of the food chain. They're not have very soft and brittle bones, so they're very lightweight. I mean, a female cheetah, same size as Tammy here, you're looking at about only 30 to 40 kilograms. Maybe a big male might be 50 to 60 kilograms. So they're designed for speed and agility. They're not really that strong. They don't have strong teeth. So these cheetah, they can very easily be injured or chased away from their kills by lions, hyena, leopard, and even brown hyena. So I'm sure everyone that's been following Mabula knows very well that the brown hyena there chase away the male cheetahs quite often from their kills. Even baboons, we've seen baboons chasing cheetah off of their kills. So yeah, this female does have to take very good care of these little ones. Oh, check at this. Isn't this just adorable? Oh, this is just too cute. Alright, getting to a few more questions. So Jive Bunny, greetings from southwest England. Thank you for joining us today, Jive Bunny. I hope that you're having some lovely weather. It's not too cold. It's quite chilly here in Valverfonden, I must admit. We've had some windy weather that blew in over the last couple of days, and it has been rather cold. Even on our way back from our morning drive, just about half an hour ago, it was still very chilly, very cold. Jackets pretty much most of the day. So Martina Schmid has sent through a comment updating about these little cheetah, and apparently the last little cheetah cub did start to open its eyes a few days ago. So as I mentioned, one of the cubs was a bit late in opening its eyes, but it could have been that little runt of the litter. Sometimes they just take a little bit longer, need a little bit more time. And the reason these cheetah cubs are born with their eyes closed is because their eyes are still so sensitive to the light. So it's actually to protect their eyes while they're still being developed and formed and growing. Otherwise, if they were born with their eyes open, their eyes would probably get very damaged by the sun, and they wouldn't be able to see very well, because cheetah have quite a short gestation period compared to your antelope or your herbivores, because Most predators don't want to stay pregnant for too long because it hinders their ability to hunt. Oh, check out these little baby cheetah paws. Aren't they just too cute? Spas Iankov has sent through another question asking if I know in which of the cameras can we see honey badgers at night, or is there a possibility? I'm trying to think, Spas. I spent a lot of time on that Africam Instagram page checking through all of the footage and what gets updated, and I don't think I've ever seen honey badger before. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not there. I'm sure if I look close enough, I might find a honey badger. They are nocturnal honey badgers, so they do get caught quite a lot on camera traps. So I'm sure if we looked, we might find a honey badger. But if I were to guess which location would most likely be a good place for a honey badger sighting, I would have to go with the Sabi Sands, maybe in Jackie's Pan, probably over in Djuma. Alright, so it seems like we've got some movement with our penguins over in Boulders Beach. Why don't we head across to Boulders Beach and see what's happening with our penguins? Oh, looks like we've got some activity. I still have not seen these penguins properly, so I guess there's a time for a bathroom break. We caught this poor penguin at the wrong moment here. I'm sure he feels terribly about himself. So I'm sure the chicks are inside this little hollow just there. So Canine Girl has asked a question about what this situation is with eventually releasing these cubs into the wild. So yes, Canine Girl. Obviously Tammy and what is the other female's name? There's another female, I think it's Julie. It could be Julia. There's two female cheetah at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. Becky, oh thank you Nadine. So it's Becky. So Becky and Tammy are part of, obviously at the center, and they're based at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center, but all of their cubs are part of a reintroduction program into the wild. So the DNA of all of these cheetah are taken, especially from sanctuaries. Obviously some of the cheetah in the wild, it's a bit difficult to get the DNA, but they're collected in the DNA in the database so that we can manage to monitor all the cheetah populations within South Africa. So all those cubs will be reintroduced into the wild one day. They just have to make sure it's into a reserve that does not contain any other individuals that they might be related to. So yeah, it's incredible work that they're doing there at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center to help repopulate these game reserves within South Africa. Ooh, looks like we have a little Cape wagtail that's coming to investigate our little penguin nest. Got some more comments coming through. Jive Bunny, yes, that little cheetah family is really precious. Really cool to be able to witness and watch this lovely little cheetah family. So Catherine has sent through a comment. Catherine apparently has seen honey badger at Old Donyo. Okay, awesome, Catherine. I'm glad that you've seen honey badger at Old Donyo. And now to think of it, I think I've also seen Janet quite a few times over at Old Donyo. So obviously Janet, I know the jackals like to frequent that pan. There's some lions that are in the area with some cubs at the moment. So yeah, Old Donyo is definitely a very busy spot. And yeah, so keep a lookout on that Old Donyo camera at night. Maybe if you're lucky, a honey badger might pop in for a visit. Alrighty, so we've got some more comments coming through of some of our viewers that have seen honey badgers in some of the Africam locations. So if you can remember seeing a honey badger at any of the Africam locations, please send them through to me. That I can't seem to remember if I've seen them anywhere, but please send through your comments if you've seen honey badgers at any of the Africam locations. So Mr. H UAE 87 has sent through his comment about where he's seen his honey badger at Rosie's Pan. Yeah, again, honey badgers do occur in quite a variety of habitats through Central and Southern Africa. So as we mentioned, they're such resilient little creatures, so adaptable to different environments. So yeah, send through those comments on if you can remember having seen a honey badger at any location. So far we've got Old Donio, and we've also got Rosie's Pan as well. Alright, talking about Old Donio, why don't we head over to Old Donio and see what mystery bird has just arrived. Alright, we have a very strange little bird that has a little bird of prey that has just landed here in Old Donio. I think it's a kestrel or a hobby of some sort. If he just turns his head this way, we can have a look for some markings. Come on, little guy. If we have any birding experts there today that are up to scratch on your Kenyan birds, please feel free to send through your comments and help me identify this mystery bird. So Limber has said it could be a grey kestrel. So Limber, I'm going to quickly double check that for you, and then I'll let you know if this is a grey kestrel. It's got yellow feet, mostly grey in colour. Trying to see any identifying features. What kestrel could this be? Definitely a kestrel of some sort. So if any of our viewers can help to confirm if this is a grey kestrel. I'm not getting... Let's have a look. So I'm just going to have a quick check in my Newman's Bird app. That's a really useful little tool to have on your phone, Newman's Bird app. So let's see the kestrels. Which kestrel could it be? It does look like a gay. It could be, yes, a grey kestrel. Yeah, so while identifying birds so important when you are not too sure, one, you have a look at the distribution. Is the bird within distribution? Two, if you have heard the vocalization, you can play a vocalization to help you identify the specific species. But three, also what's useful is the habitat. So this bird is found in open woodlands and savannas, often in areas with palms. It mentions about the call here, and it is very similar to the sooty falcon, but separated by much shorter bar wings and a more boxy shaped head. So
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think, because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our FedAir lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet, we take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
here with a male leopard.
So we got another comment coming from Diane from Cape Town. Diane, so no, the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre camera is new for me. I think it's only been on our listing for a couple of months, so we haven't always had access to that camera. But as far as I'm concerned, I think I remember chatting to someone about her. So I think Tammy has had quite a few litters at the centre where all of her offspring have then been successfully released into the wild. So what they'll have is, it's called a soft release enclosures. So her cubs will then be put into some medium-sized enclosures and then larger enclosures, and then they will actually be put into smaller game reserve before they then get released into a large game reserve. So I think the same situation is here at Valvervonden. I think Valvervonden has an area which is a soft release section for wild dogs. So there's an endangered or a wild dog centre close to Valvervonden, and they have a specific area where before these wild dogs get released elsewhere, I think some of these wild dogs got sent to Zimbabwe and Pilanesberg, they then get released into the soft release area, which helps to teach them to survive in the wild by themselves, to hunt for themselves. And once they are confident that those cheetah cubs can survive successfully on their own, then they then get reintroduced onto a bigger game reserve to possibly, be a companion to another cheetah, or onto a reserve that maybe only has males or only females, to then start a new breeding program elsewhere. Picasso, thank you for your comment. Lovely to confirm that this is a grey kestrel. Lots of birds here in Kenya that are new for me, so thank you for all the help, everyone, to identify this very patient grey kestrel. So imagine how long this kestrel has to sit up there waiting for the right moment for an unsuspecting little creeping crawling creature to move past before he swoops down onto his prey. So Beak and I this morning were actually following a gymnogene or African harrier hawk as it was flying and perching along the trees on a bit of a mountain ridge or a bit of a cliff, and it was searching in all the little holes and crevices in the branches, looking for maybe any nests that it could raid, lizards, skinks, also little creeping crawling creatures. So it was quite cool to spend a bit of time with an African harrier hawk this morning. I think BK even managed to get a few sneaky shots. It was not easy, but we followed him for about half an hour, pretty much on the same hunting strategy as this kestrel, although these kestrels will spend a lot more time sitting in one position, patiently waiting for something to move below them. So Canine Girl, I'm glad that this is a lifer for you too. This is definitely a lifer for me. Some of these hobbies in kestrels can be quite difficult to identify. One of my favorite is the Amur falcon, which also looks quite similar to a kestrel, but very unique coloration and pattern that it has. So that's probably one of my favorite little falcon species. So our African harrier hawk that we saw this morning, I think he might have even tried to catch a Natal spurfowl, because all of a sudden we saw these Natal spurfowl that frantically flew out of a bush, and the African harrier hawk flew over them. So some of these larger birds of prey will try to hunt smaller birds of prey. So this little kestrel could try to hunt for little waxbills. That's why, for me, it's a great example at Lintore. When the waxbills come down to drink, they land in a very thick thorny bush next to the water before actually going down to drink, because if they're not careful, even a dove can be unexpectedly snatched up for lunch by a bigger bird of prey. So we have a question from Sinea Shoko. Yes, Sinea, so this is a live feed coming straight to you from all of our locations. This is Oldonyo over in Kenya. So we're currently watching all of these African locations live from all across Africa. Whoop. And off our little kestrel goes. So I wonder if there's anything else at this watering hole today. This acacia trees often makes a perfect shady spot for some elephants or giraffe. You know, the impala, a few impala like to hang out in the shade of this tree. It's looking lush and green. Kenya's obviously just had some more rains. It's really greened up nicely. Some other birds, interesting birds we can find at this location are secretary birds. There's a pair of secretary birds that do nest around here. It's a emerald spotted dove. Lots of butterflies also coming down to the watering hole. So it's amazing when these watering holes are quiet, when there's no elephants. Sometimes the elephants can hog watering holes and don't really give much space for anything else to come down to drink. When it's quiet and there's not much happening, that's when all your small little creatures come out, your little bushbuck, or lots of birds come down to drink. Warthogs will come down to wallow. Whereas if there's a few elephant bulls drinking from this watering hole, there's not too much activity. Oh, I think that we had a common wax bull there. Is that a common wax bull? Just took off. Oops, sorry folks, I think we had a little bit of a challenge with our camera there in Oldonyo, so we've just linked back to our penguins over in Stony Point. And we've got some Egyptian geese that have also come to join to join us today. These Egyptian geese are herbivores, so or grass eaters, so they do feed on mostly grass and seeds. So I've seen Egyptian geese quite far from watering holes before. They'll often fly up to airstrips or open grassland area to spend some of their day and some of their time feeding on any seeds and plant matter as well as plant material. Doesn't seem to be too bothered. The penguin doesn't seem to be too bothered by these Egyptian geese. I'm sure we are all very aware of the very, for me it's a very frustrating or annoying sound that these Egyptian geese make, but I'll play one of their calls or vocalizations for you.
He is such a handsome young male. Look at that pose. Absolutely beautiful.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
My full name is Cedric Leslie Dold. I grew up mostly here in the Lowveld. I grew up here pretty much on the southern side of Kruger National Park, a place called Marlow Park, for most of my years. Something surprising about myself, I did play drums in a band for many years. Best sighting I presented, we found Palumba in the two cubs, and the cubs are just way big.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a serviceman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on in this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
So we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. You'll gain access to the channel ad-free. You can rewind and rewatch sightings and gain access to our live Tuesday safaris. There's also behind the scenes videos, fireside chats, and every safari live episode, whenever it suits you. It's just the best way to connect with nature.
Could be a few cows too. This looks like a cow. Oh, yep. So it could be a small breeding herd actually. So if you find a few buffalo individuals together, it's generally a bachelor buffalo group. But looks like we've got some young calves in here. So it could just be the reminiscences of a big herd or maybe a smaller family group. Look at this cow here, so I'm really curious where are the rest of the buffalo. Oh, a black crake. Have a look at this little black crake. This is a lovely spot for these buffalo to be this afternoon in the Kruger National Park, just hanging out on a nice cool beach, a nice cool water island. I think there's a little three-banded plover here as well. They seem to really enjoy feeding on these reeds too, so it's kind of protection against predators because you're surrounded by water. Also nice some food to feed on, although this reeds, they are very coarse and dense reeds, so it's not preferable food, but it's just a nice chilled spot to hang out on a Saturday afternoon. Curious as to how many individuals there are here. Oh, check it out, little black crake. Oh, so it's not a three-banded plover, it looks like a pied wagtail. What are they up to? Lovely to, nice sighting. Normally these black crakes are in quite thick areas. These thick marshy reeded areas are perfect for birding. Lots of really amazing water birds that can be found in these thick marshy muddy sandbank areas. Oh, I think our crake has a friend. Could be two black crakes. Normally they're in pairs, so it wouldn't be unusual to see two together, so they don't hang out in flocks. Oh, crocodile. Hello. Looks like a crocodile sun basking in the sun here. So this is a lovely bank for crocodiles to lay their eggs. So we got a comment from Mbaku, is asking, are lions scared of buffalo? Did I read that right? So lions generally prey on buffalo, so buffalo would be a prey species for lions, but in some cases they do need to be very careful, because if a lion gets on the wrong end of a buffalo's horn, it could cause quite a bit of damage. Right, folks, I think we've got some activity over at Founders. Why don't we go across to Founders and see what's happening in the Eastern Cape of South Africa? Oh, have a look here. We've got some sable. My goodness, this is my first time actually seeing sable live over at Founders Lodge. How epic is this? And we've got some lovely reflections here. Some zebra have also come to visit. What a treat. Obviously there's a youngster that's just walked right in front of the camera here. It's probably from this last year's, probably born this last year. So he's probably about 6 to 7 months old, probably born between December to January. And then the one on the left could be from the previous year, so about 2 or 3 years of age. And then this is a female on the far right. So yeah, female sable don't have as big or long horns as the males. What have we got calling? So we've got a comment from Wildlife Lady. So Wildlife Lady's asking about if there is a live camera near Skukuza Rest Camp. And yes, I think there is a camera at Skukuza, Wildlife Lady, because I think I saw some footage also on the African website of a leopard that made a kill. I think it killed a kudu just in front of Skukuza Rest Camp there. So I think there is a camera there. But I'm not too sure if it's functional or active all the time. I haven't seen too much footage coming through. Oh, look at this little sable being very confident getting into the water. Maybe it's a warm afternoon here in the Eastern Cape and the sable is cooling off. So Canine Girl, as I was asking about the buffalo. So Canine Girl, I don't think those buffalo are going to be more at risk in the river. As I mentioned, for me, I think it would be quite a nice place for them to rest during the day because they're surrounded by water. It's difficult for a predator, more difficult for a predator to sneak up on them if they're on a bank there. So I think it's a nice little refuge place for those buffalo. Oh, please don't get stuck, little sable. It's quite a muddy place. Not the best situation to get yourself in. I hope this little sable doesn't get himself stuck in the mud. Such a lovely sighting to have sable here over in Founders Lodge in the Eastern Cape. What a lovely sighting. So sable unfortunately are very prone to habitat loss. It's very difficult for a sable to hide their little calves in the calving season when there's not enough grass. So when there's not enough grass for sable to hide their calves, lions very easily can find the calves and generally it makes them very susceptible to being killed or caught by predators. So sable do like to hang out in very thick Miombo woodland forest areas and open grassland areas, but they need those thick woodland areas to hide their calves during the calving season. So it's one of the reasons why sable do struggle in a lot of areas because of habitat loss. Nice to see some zebra here too. I think we've got one pregnant female on the right there, could be. So Canine Girl is asking if antelope species practice Flehmen grimace. So yes, Canine Girl, antelope species do practice Flehmen grimace, and this is when the male lifts his front lip backwards and he tests the air or the urine of a female. You see it quite often with giraffe or zebra, and this scent then goes into the Jacobson's organ within the mouth palate, and that's when the male will test to see if the female is in season or in estrus, ready for mating. So here on Valverfonden we had a male and female lion, or lion and a lioness, that were mating for a couple of days, and we did witness the male testing the air or Flehmen grimace quite a lot. So it was quite interesting behavior to actually watch in lions, and yes, it does happen in antelope too. Jive Bunny, yes, these sable are very beautiful antelope. So you get the two different subspecies. There's also a northern Zambian sable, or also known as a Matetsi sable, in parts of Zambia and parts of Zimbabwe. To me, they look almost identical except for the color. They're not as dark. Oh, sorry, you do get them in South Africa as well. They're not as dark as the other sable species, and sometimes they're a little bit smaller, which are nothing more majestic than seeing a beautiful fully grown male sable that jet black, those long horns. Sometimes their horns get so long they almost touch their shoulder blades. They can actually scratch their back with those horns. And I've seen one sable before that his horns actually curved on each side of his shoulders. They were so long, and those horns are to help them if they have a predator jumping on their rump like a lion. Those horns can be a very good defense mechanism. So Spas Inkov, yes, it is very rare to see sable here at Founders Lodge. So yes, Spas, Spas, we do have quite a few regions in Zimbabwe that do home sable. We do have a healthy sable population in Zimbabwe. Hope that answers your question. Our little cheetah cubs are napping away over at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. So why don't we go and watch those little cheetah napping, shall we? Oh, isn't this just such a cute sight to see? It's tiny little baby cheetah cubs enjoying a little group cuddle. Talking about group cuddles, BK and I the last 2 days have been very lucky to have been driving right past some rhinos having a little group cuddle as well. It's a little bit different when, these cheetah are tiny. They're probably weighing, when a little cheetah at birth is probably weighing between 150 to 200 grams, and these little guys, I wouldn't say they're more than 400 or 500 grams at the moment, but a big rhino female is about 1,600 kilograms, and a big male is over 2,000 kilograms, big white rhino male. So to see these giant rhino all napping together next to each other has been quite delightful. BK and I have been very, very blessed. We've also had some great bird lifers the last 2 days. I saw my first pearl-breasted swallow, and we finally found a grass bird today. So very cool lifers and birding here at Valverfonden. Ah, look at these little guys, aren't they so cute? Oh, you can see a little bit of a wiggle and a wriggle. So it's quite interesting how these little cheetah are normally born with this very thick silvery grey mantles. We talked about that thick neck scruff that they have at their backs. Their colour also does help to camouflage them into the grass so that the female can very easily hide them. So unfortunately in the wild, the mortality rate for cheetah are quite high. They don't generally survive past a few weeks. So that's why it's so important here at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. What they're doing is actually helping to repopulate a lot of reserves that might not have enough cheetah. So in my experience from Zimbabwe, a lot of our national parks there, we have too many lions. Like in Wangi National Park, it's too many lions in that area, and whenever you have too many lions, the smaller predators really suffer, like wild dog and like cheetah. So the wild dogs in Wangi National Park have actually moved to denning outside of the national park in communal areas, which does happen in South Africa too. They actually try and nest away, den away from the lions, so that they can successfully raise their little cubs. But denning in communal areas can be quite dangerous for cheetah as well as wild dog, because they do end up trying to hunt goats and donkeys, so that can get them into a little bit of trouble. So such amazing work that they're doing here at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center to be able to successfully raise an entire little litter of cubs and reintroduce them into the wild to help to repopulate the meta population of cheetah. So the Lua Pala, These are such cute little cheetah cubs, aren't they? I love the little stripes. So they haven't quite, the little tear marks on their faces, they haven't quite grown into their faces yet. So their snouts are still very short. They're almost, yeah, they still need to grow their little snout a little bit, but they are such adorable little creatures, aren't they? So wildlife lady, yes, I do like the term cuddle puddle. It's a very cute term. Lions too, if they've made a big kill, they'll form a giant, almost like puddles of lions everywhere. So like for an elephant, for example, if lions have killed a sub-adult elephant, or if there's a dead elephant that lions are feeding on, they'll eat for half an hour to an hour and then go and lie down underneath the trees, form these little lion cuddle puddles while they digest their food a bit, build up an appetite, come back, feed again, and they can sometimes stay in these areas. If it's a big kill like an elephant or a giraffe, they can stay in those areas for 2 to 3 days until they've completely consumed everything that there is to eat here. So unlike some other predators, cheetah don't generally make an actual den underground. So I mentioned the female cheetah will move her cubs from one area to the next, normally every 2 to 3 days. That's to cover her scent and also reduce the risk of her and her cubs being found by another predator in the area.
This is an unbelievable afternoon.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
Spent a lot of time up in the mountains. Beak and I have not seen the elephants for a few days because it has been very cold, and some of the guides here told us that when it is very cold in the Waterberg on Valverfonden, the elephants head up into the mountains and you don't see them for a couple of days. So we saw some elephants coming down from the mountains today, and again, very strange, quite short tusks, look very similar to those elephants over in Mabula. So Teresa Wright, thank you for your comment. So Teresa sent a comment about the cubs, the cheetah cubs, Tammy's little adorable cubs. And she's asking, why is one cub still quite silver while the rest are multicolored? And yes, Teresa, I will say it's most likely the runt of the litter and most likely the same individual that took so long to open its eyes. So it's quite interesting with Tammy's litter of cubs that she has, is she gave birth to three cubs, 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, so 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. And then 9 hours later at 2 p.m. she gave birth to her last cub, which is quite unusual to have such a wide gap or birthing interval for a predator, for any species. I mean, normally the birthing period can take between 1 to 3 hours, and normally maximum of 2 hours between one little cub being born and the last. Seems like there's some activity over in the olifants. Should we link across there and see what's happening? Oh, vervet monkeys, oh my goodness. Oh, we also got some impala there. So, if you're a guide... Oh, is it an impala or a nyala? Oh, it's actually a nyala. Hello. If you're a guide and you've ever had a desperate day while out on safari and you have not seen too much, a troop of vervet monkeys or some chakma baboons can really save your day. I tell you this. Oh my goodness. You can sit for hours and watch monkeys or baboons. How cool. This is a very thick riverine area here. We often see little vervet monkeys. Perfect place for bushbuck. Obviously these nyala also really enjoying this thick riverine habitat. So you get lots of different habitats and lots of different areas. Open grassland, thick miombo woodland. You get more mountain, thick mountain habitats, and then you get these riverine habitats, which are so important for the ecosystem. Your bushbuck are a very good indicator of habitat loss as well, because if there's not too many bushbuck within a reserve, you know that maybe there's not enough thick woodland area or riverine areas. Beautiful two female nyala. Oh, they are such beautiful antelope, aren't they? So one of my favorite antelope in Africa is the bongo. I don't know if any of our viewers have ever heard of a bongo. You do get them in West Africa, so in Gabon, over in Congo, Central Africa, but you do get another subspecies that I think occurs in Tanzania, which is more commonly seen. These are like forest antelope, and they look exactly like a female nyala, but with a male nyala's horns, and both male and female of the species do have horns. They're very majestic, very beautiful antelope. I think now is a perfect time to have a little bit of a quiet moment while we just watch to see what transpires with these nyala and watch a little bit of monkey business, shall we? Oh, a little monkey, little vervet monkey popping its head in every now and then. So have a look here. There's his tail on the left hand side of the screen. You've got the vervet monkey tail hanging over this branch here. And do you know what looks very similar to a vervet monkey tail that you need to be very careful of? Is a vine snake. Vine snakes look very similar to a vervet monkey tail, so be very careful, because vine snakes have quite a unique combination venom, so 2 types of venom, and again, it's one of the venoms that's very difficult to treat, but bites are very rare in humans because vine snakes have such a tiny little mouthpiece, so it is very difficult for vine snakes to bite a person. But if you do ever find a vine snake, I do always recommend it's better to leave nature in nature. Do not want to get bitten by a little vine snake and have your family worried about you, because so it's always best to leave nature as it is. I know in a lot of camps and lodges you get snakes removed. Normally the guides will come in and remove these snakes from the camps to get them away from guests, but it's always best to take them and release them back into the wild further away from the camps. These monkeys do alarm call for snakes too, so yeah, interesting how vervet monkeys have about 8 to 9 different alarm calls for different predators. So they'll have a different alarm call for humans, different alarm call for maybe a python or big predatory bird of prey. So very intelligent and quite interesting social dynamics in primates. So we had a question from Ivan. So Ivan was asking, what is the most eye-opening change that I have witnessed since I began guiding? It's quite an interesting question, Ivan, that I've been pondering on. And I think for me the most eye-opening change would definitely have to be habitat loss and its effects on wildlife, and how it's a bit of a ripple effect from one species to the next. So when you have habitat loss and you lose one species, it's not just that one species you're losing. Like if you take a tree out of the ecosystem, that tree fed birds and animals and caterpillars and butterflies needed to have that tree in order to lay their cocoons. And so you take one thing out of the ecosystem and there's a whole collapse of that ecosystem. Another example is a predator. When you take predators out of an ecosystem, the antelope then eat too much, there's not enough foliage on the ground, the termites feed on what's left, and it's a whole collapse of the ecosystem. So to see an ecosystem that is unhealthy, it's quite quite mind-boggling, and that's just in my 8-9 years of guiding. So yeah, that's why it's so important to be aware of our environment, and also a lot of organizations are out there trying their best to preserve and protect our wildlife. So why don't we link back across to Tembe, see what our elephants are up to. Whoa, look how many elephants have pitched up to this elephant party. So it must be a very hot day in Tembe. These elephants are all coming down for a good mud bath. So Picasso has sent through a comment that apparently you saw a bongo in Kenya in the 80s, and yes, Picasso, these bongo are very beautiful antelope, and until the last 5-10 years very rarely actually photographed by photographers. A lot of these very rare and elusive animals, especially like West and East Africa, some of the only photos you could see until about 5-10 years ago was actually of these animals being hunted. So for me, when I first started researching bongos and red river hogs, giant forest hogs, the only photos that ever came up were of hunters that had actually hunted these animals. So yeah, amazing to see where photography has gone, and that so many of these pictures and research and observations of these rare antelope species helps us to learn so much more about them. A bit of dominance display between these two elephant bulls. So it looks.
I feel it is a rosetted morning for us. So yes, let's see what we can find.
Wild Earth has launched a special fundraising drive for our non-profit, the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. We're raising funds to source, create, and showcase thousands of untold stories. Stories that spark real action in conservation and social impact. Visit our website to donate and explore how you can become a founding donor.
My full name is Cedric Leslie Dold. The best driver at Wild Earth, it is me. I believe I'm the best driver. I think so because I've... best part of my job, I say, is just to try and look out for these animals, track them down. I love tracking animals. I love looking for, fresh tracks, and if you can find them, it's just at the moment of accomplishment. If I wasn't a presenter for Wild Earth, I would be the drummer for AC/DC.
Out here, every moment counts. As a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7 and rewind if you want to catch something again. Enjoy behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and early access to travel offers. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
In the Orange River a few years ago. Crocodiles, obviously the environment is water, and if they don't have sanitary or healthy clean water around them, that can cause them to die or their food. So everything in the ecosystem is linked to each other. So it's quite interesting once you actually get into it. It's all part of the circle of life, which these elephants look very happy. Look like they're having a lovely afternoon, enjoying their muddy mud baths. So it's quite interesting how they use these little mud wallows on the side of the pan. They've definitely been creating a lot more. And again, not only is it useful for them for mud bathing, protecting their skin from the sun and parasites, exfoliating their skin, but also there's so many nutrient-rich minerals in these soils that they'll also be feeding on. I'll just have a bit of a quiet moment just to listen to these elephants as they go about their day. I can hear Sombre Greenball in the background. It's a Saturday. Let's just have a nice, peaceful, quiet moment to just take in the day and this incredible sighting. So it looks like we have some interesting spur-file Franklin feathered friend over in the Simbavati. Why don't we go and check it out there and see what bird we have that has arrived. Looks like our feathered friends have disappeared, so I guess we'll carry on watching our elephants. So it seems like a lot of testosterone around this watering hole today, with all these bulls hanging out. So the younger bulls that are less dominant will be pushed out of the prime mud wallow spots for the bigger bulls to come in and enjoy themselves. We've got some zebra over at Founders. Let's go have a look at our zebra, shall we? So it looks like we've got a stallion and I don't know if there's a young female on the left, but definitely a stallion on the right hand side. He's quite a handsome chap. Oh yeah, so female on the left, a stallion on the right. It looked like there was a pregnant female earlier. Oh, it looks like we've also got a blessbok. So quite unusual how the blessbok here in the Eastern Cape are a lot lighter in colour than blessbok that I know of in other regions of South Africa. Yeah, lovely to see the zebra, and also such a treat to see the sable earlier here at Founders. What a special sighting that was. I've seen them on the Africam camera before. I didn't know sable do occur here in the Eastern Cape, but I've never actually seen them live. We've got a few unusual zebra that we've seen in the last couple of days here at Valverfonden that look like they've been in quite serious fights. So in areas where there might be a lot of competition with the male, so the stallions do become quite aggressive with one another. And yeah, some of these males we've been seeing around here at Valverfonden have got chunks out of their ears, and one is even missing most of its ear. So it's quite unusual to see a zebra without an ear. Yeah, I probably got on the wrong end of a more dominant and mature male or stallion. So have a look on the inner thigh or inner leg of the zebra. So when the zebra at the far end, when it steps forward, oh there we go, you can see the zebra closest to us. So on the on its inner leg here, you can see a little hard piece of skin. And that's actually used for when the zebra are lying down, when they kind of fold their legs in, that they don't hurt or cut their skin with their hooves. And it's got quite an interesting name. I think it's the same as with horses. It's called an apricot. It's quite unusual, almost apricot shaped little hard piece of skin that they helps to protect their legs when they're sleeping from their very sharp hooves. Now, I would not want to get on the receiving end of a zebra hoof. It can be quite nasty. So obviously main predator for zebras, lions. I have seen quite a few nasty injuries from lions, so very easily injuries that lions can sustain from a zebra. They can break their bones, or I've seen a lion with a broken jaw from a kick from a zebra. So yeah, they have incredible, very powerful kick and a very nasty bite. Oh, here's our little Cape Wagtail. Hello, little guy. And oops. So zebra don't normally mud bath, although I have seen a zebra mud bathing once before, but I think it was not having its best day. I'm not too sure why that zebra was mud bathing, but normally a zebra will be more prone to dust bathing. just like birds. So birds will dust bath to remove excess oil from their feathers, and also just to help keep their feathers in good condition. Same as zebras. So zebra will go and they'll find, they normally have these little ritualistic dust bathing spots that they'll go and roll over in the dust. They don't normally mud bath like buffalo, warthogs, white rhino. That's a lovely shot. Nice. So it would be a great photo right here of the zebra. Normally these zebra do form harems of one male that can have anything between 2 to 5 females within one group, or a harem. Hippo, a group of hippo, I didn't know. Besides being called a pod, it is also known as a harem as well. So they're quite cheeky, quite feisty with one another, especially at a watering hole. Can be quite feisty, these zebra, I must say. Anywhere where animals might be substitute fed, they can be quite aggressive and chase other animals away, or areas that have salt licks. Zebra can be quite aggressive, chasing warthogs and other antelope away from a feeding site. Love to see some namakwa doves coming down to land here. It'd be lovely to see some namakwas. Haven't seen namakwas for quite a while. I have seen them coming down to this watering hole. It would be lovely to see a rhino wallowing in the mud too. Inquisitive zebra, are you coming to check us out? It's a shame. There was that poor little baby zebra that got stuck in the pan over at where was that, at Tau last year. That was rescued, thank goodness, and reintroduced with his harem. So yeah, there was a lovely. It was quite an emotional day, I must say, live at the waterhole, because we started watching when the zebra was stuck in the mud, and thank goodness during the course of the live at the waterhole show, they managed to get some guys to come in and actually pull this little zebra out of the mud, and then he was reintroduced into his harem. So yeah, it was quite a lovely success story. But yeah, as these water holes start dwindling, all animals need to be very careful of the mud. Often little baby elephants get stuck in the mud, little zebra, waterbuck, kudu, anything that ventures too far into these very treacherous mud traps can get stuck up in the mud. Sure, there must be a rest of their harem somewhere close by. You can hear that little Cape wagtail vocalizing. Oh, another cool wagtail species is the mountain wagtail. I don't know if any of our viewers have ever seen a mountain wagtail. My first time seeing a mountain wagtail was actually on a hike in Magubuskloof in South Africa. But yesterday, Beeke and I were exploring these incredible cliff, waterfall, rocky areas that look like perfect mountain wagtail habitat. So yeah, really cool little wagtail, and they actually nest in the cliffs or in little caves or little crevices in the rocks in waterfalls. Yeah, very vocal little birds. I'll find the call for you. It's a very pretty little bird, and they're quite busy, quite active with their tails, constantly bobbing their tails up and down. This is the call of the mountain wagtail. Oop. Looks like we had a slight problem with our feed there, so we've linked back across to our little baby cheetahs being groomed over at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre. Lovely to hear Tammy giving a little bit of a vocalization there. Hey girl. Oh, she's such a good mom. She always is making sure she's consistently cleaning and grooming her little cubs. So these cubs obviously can't really fend for themselves much, so yeah, they're born almost completely helpless, blind, and they need to be taken care of solely by the female or by their mom. Oh, look at this thing, still wobbly. They are so cute. It's like little puppies, or when you have little puppies or little kittens. That's so lovely to be able to closely watch them grow. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll hear Tammy vocalizing again. So I've got a cheetah vocalization here that I'm just going to play for you. So this is an adult cheetah vocalizing, or also known as chirping. It's quite an unusual sound to come from a little predator, but also the high-pitched squeaking of these little baby cheetahs also sounds very similar to a bird. So I don't know if that's also a defense mechanism to help to mask their sound and call. So when the little baby cheetah are vocalizing and trying to attract the attention of their mother, it often sounds very similar to a little bird squeaking sound. So yeah, quite unusual, but a very good way to hide their presence by sounding like a bird. Isn't this just precious? Just kind of melts your heart and soul and makes you want to go out and buy a puppy or something, doesn't it? So this little social interacting and bonding that these cheetah have with one another is so important from a young age. So when they're still cubs, they'll spend a lot of time chasing each other, stalking, pouncing and playing. And it's such an important and essential part of building their skills and helping them to become elite hunters. And also it plays quite an important part of their training. So it helps them train to become the apex predators that they will one day turn into. So generally in the wild, cubs will nurse for about 3 months, so they'll suckle from their mother for about 3 months, and generally in the wild they'll stay with their mother from about 12 to 18 months. In this interim, they'll be learning how to hunt and survive before going off on their own. They need to make sure that they are prepared for the world, because just like in lions, if this female comes into estrus again, she'll often chase away the cubs, and then they need to really I guess they get kicked out the nest, should you say, and need to fend for themselves. So once the siblings have separated from the mother, the young siblings, the brothers, the boys, will generally stay together, and the females will generally split off on their own. The males will normally form these lifelong coalitions, and the males do form very tight family bonds. Oh. So in their first few weeks, the mother will spend lots of time licking these little babies' bottoms and bellies, and that helps to stimulate their digestive system, helping them to use the bathroom. So Moonbeam Smith, yes, these little cubs are very fragile as they stumble and bumble all over the place, and that's why they're so reliant on being cared for and protected by their mother. Without this female being so attentive and taking care of the cubs, they would never survive in the wild. So generally the female, she'll need to go out and hunt to keep her body in good condition so that she can produce enough milk for these little cubs. So she'll go out hunting every 2 to 3 days, and in that time that she goes to hunt or drink, she will stash her little ones in a very thick bush or a thicket or inside rocks, and they need to stay together and keep as quiet as possible. But obviously the older these adorable little cubs get, the more difficult it is for them to behave themselves, and from time to time, especially in leopards as well, you might get them wandering off, and this could be one of their last little adventure missions that they go on. So with lions, you see it a lot when males come into areas and find the cubs, and females will try everything that they can to distract the male away from the cubs, while the mother of these cubs moves the cubs away, because if a male lion finds another male's cubs in his area, he will not waste time but to kill them. So it is quite a harsh world out there, but it's so interesting how every predator, every bird, every insect, every little species has its own little niche that they fulfill, and they're so well designed and adapted and evolved to surviving in their different niches in the world. Whoop! Look at those tiny little claws. Oh my goodness. This just makes your heart so happy, doesn't it? You can see Tammy's paw here again. So cheetah have protractile claws. So unlike lions and leopard that have retractile claws that actually need to use their muscles to extend their claws out, just like your cat at home, cheetah have protractile claws, whereas their claws are constantly distended and constantly out. And for me, the easiest and simplest way to explain it that you'd understand is like with your runners, your short distance sprinters, how they need spikes with spikes to run with, to anchor their feet into the ground, so when they're running they don't lose traction. Same with the cheetah. So there's claws specially designed and developed to constantly be out, and that anchors them into the ground so that when they're running they don't lose traction. And then their tail. So the cheetah, the reason they have these very long tails is because they use that tail of theirs as a rudder. So when they're running, they'll use that tail to help them balance. Just like in primates, a lot of primates have tails for balance as well. Same with predators. So leopards will use their tails when climbing up in trees, also for a form of balance as well. Oh, check out these little precious faces. Isn't that just adorable? So unlike lions, cheetah are quite silent. So the cubs, as I mentioned, will chirp and purr as well as meowing, but they don't really communicate much. They're quite quiet predators, and again, this is to reduce the chances of them attracting any larger predators. And this female cheetah, her milk is so important for the development and growth of these baby cheetahs. So her milk is very high in nutrients and fat, and it does help these cheetah cubs to grow very fast in their first few months, and that is to help to give them the best chance of survival. So it's believed that obviously cheetah are one of the most endangered predators in Africa. and it is because of all these factors I've been mentioning about habitat loss, habitat fragmentation, obviously increase on larger predators. So it's believed that there's probably over 7,000 cheetah left in the wild. So each little baby cheetah that is successfully raised, even in these research centers, that will be reintroduced into the wild, it's such a great hope and a positive thing for this species. Look at those little eyes glistening and glowing in the light. So we've got a good question here from Canine Girl. So Canine Girl's asking, do predator cubs all tend to start eating their kills at the similar age, live kills at a similar age? So Canine Girl, no. Most predator cubs will have a different age that they'll start killing. So it is a common pattern across a lot of species. Yeah, depending on one region to the next, of course. So yeah, generally between lions, leopard, cheetah, they all have different ages that they might start killing their prey. For example, cheetah cubs normally start hunting at about, or tasting meat, sorry, at about 6 to 8 weeks. And generally by the age of about 4 to 5 months, they'll actually be able to start hunting and learning how to hunt, whereas lion cubs will normally start eating meat at a later stage, or practice hunting between 7 to 9 months. So yeah, it depends from predator to predator. Each predator is different. So big cats like lions and leopards start eating meat between 8 to 12 months. Small canids like your African wild dog will start eating and actually killing for themselves at 3 months. Hyenas will normally be able to be efficient hunters about 3 to 4 months. It all depends on which species you're referring to. Each has its own development cycle and duration. Look at this little baby cheetah that's got a bit of a fluffy patch on his head there. So this female cheetah's tail is also a very good way to spot cheetah in the bush. So for me, the cheetah's tails, you see a flash of white every now and then, can be white is a very unnatural color. So when you do see a bit of white in the bush, it's either something very unnatural or it could be something from a predator. And for lions too, if you see lions lying under a bush, they've got those white bellies. So if you're driving around on a game drive looking for lions or cheetah, always look for a bit of a flash of white. So it could be a cheetah or a lion flicking its tail to get rid of flies, or those white underbellies as they are lying on the side of a termite mound, up in a tree, in a thicket. That white is always a very good giveaway sign.
Zitatamana wena, moya wa mina, ukomba wena, takuranza loko tamana wena.
It's been a great morning out and about and exploring.
Birds is amazing. It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
into the heart of Africa from the comfort of your home.
Female leopard tracks over here.
Join our expert guides for a live 3-hour safari where every moment is real, unscripted, and unforgettable. Ask questions.
Animals rely on their senses.
Share your thoughts and be part of the experience as we explore together. Safari Live.
Organizations. This is not a bad way to spend a Saturday sitting watching cheetah cubs drinking. It's just special. From the comfort of our homes as well. I don't think I'd like to be sitting out on a hide watching something like this at the moment. As I mentioned, it is rather chilly here in Valvervonden. BK and I are still bundled up most of the day, so there's lots of wind, very cold. So I hope everyone else in South Africa isn't experiencing too much cold or windy weather. So a lot of the learning and growing and development of these little cheetah cubs will be from watching their mother as well. So a lot of the playtime that they have with each other and with their mother is very crucial to survival and part in their training to become apex predators. So they do pounce and play with their mother quite a lot, her tail, and a lot of this play and interaction is so important in developing their social skills and their cognitive skills. Alright, why don't we head back across to Founders and have a look, see maybe if we're lucky we'll see some warthogs having a mud bath. It looks like we've got a little family of warthogs here. We might be either too late, or if we're lucky, maybe they'll still come down for a mud wallow. Love watching warthogs have a mud bath. They really get all into it. It's like they need to completely cover themselves in this mud. Yeah, they really enjoy scratching those bellies of theirs and their bottoms. Shame, I guess they do get quite itchy. It's like a warthog spa moment for themselves. So we were talking about earlier zebra, they mostly dust bath. You don't really see zebras mud bathing, but these thick-skinned mammals like like buffalo, rhino, elephant, and then of course these warthogs, bush pigs do love to have a good mud bath. And there's nothing better than watching a warthog really getting into his mud bathing session. And then, of course, once that caked mud on their skin has dried, they'll go off and rub on a little rubbing post close by and really exfoliate that irritated skin of theirs. Looks like they're feeding on the grass at the water's edge here. BK and I had a pretty cool sighting of some bush pigs this morning, so it's pretty cool. We saw 9 bush pigs this morning. Yeah, BK spotted them in an open marshy area close to a river. So don't see bush pigs very often. So the warthog's cousin is the bush pig. Bush pigs are more nocturnal though. So the warthog's diurnal, hanging out and feeding during the day. Warthogs will hide in their burrows at night, and bush pigs are almost the opposite. So bush pigs will sleep and rest in thickets or in big den burrows during the day, and then bush pigs mostly will come out at night. So to see bush pigs out in the open around 11 a.m. in the morning is quite a rare sighting, especially such a big group of bush pig. Bush pig can also be very aggressive. You don't want to get on the wrong side of a bush pig. Quite aggressive creatures. You don't want to get one of those tusks nudged into your calf. Definitely cause some injury. Oh, look at this fluffy warthog. So it looks like a young male. He's got 2 sets of warts. So the females only have 1 set of warts, so 2 warts, whereas the males have a set closer to their muzzle and then also just below their eyes there. These warts can help to protect their faces and also from fighting, but also a sign of dominance in males. A very fluffy warthog, isn't he? Interesting whiskers. Come on, Warty, you're going to have a bath for us. Warthogs are very special creatures in the animal kingdom. I feel like they're just very apologetically themselves. Very pig-like behavior. So look at this male. So again, these male warthogs have quite small tusks, which is unusual, especially because this male has very big warts. So check out the size difference between his warts and the previous male. He's more dominant. And look at these male warthogs. They'll often have very overactive tear ducts, and that helps to remove all the sand and dust out of their eyes. So it's like they're constantly crying, but they're not crying. They're actually just trying to get rid of all of that nasty sand and dust that gets flicked up into their faces while having their nose in the dirt, feeding. Hello, big boy. Where are your tusks? Why are your tusks so small? Where's our little pied wagtail, Cape wagtail? So a really epic sighting here earlier of some sable. Lovely to see some sable here at Founders. Spas Inkov, to answer your question, so Spas is asking, have I ever seen warthogs with strangely positioned tusks? So Spas Inkov, I must say, I do really find the warthog's tusks are really interesting, especially I've seen males with very rounded, arched tusks, and also females, and it almost looks like you have a strange little curly mustache just above their nose there, so it can look quite interesting with those tusks. But I wouldn't say strange, I'd just say I've seen male warthogs with very big tusks. And again, tusks that really arch around and in, very thick. Probably the biggest warthog tuskers I think I've ever seen would have to be in Zululand. There's a lot of leopards in Zululand. So those warthogs there are quite big warthogs. And they use those tusks to protect themselves from the predators. Oh, got a blesbok here. So it looks like a young sub-adult blesbok, probably from this last year's calving season. So this one is individuals probably about 6 to 8 months. Looks like he's munching away, thinking about if he's thirsty and wants to come down for a drink or not. Very impressive coat. So he's grown into his colours quite quickly, although his horns are still quite short. So the name blesbok comes from the Afrikaans name meaning blaze. So normally this is still a juvenile. So most blesbok do have that white blaze in the front of their face, so a facial stripe that runs down their face. And these blesbok are grazers. They do prefer to graze in open grassland areas. They do occur in most regions in South Africa, although they can be seen feeding in mixed herds with other antelope species. They're not really built for the forest environment, these blesbok. They're mostly open grassland areas as their preferred habitat. So these blesbok apparently used to be nearly extinct in the 19th century because they were being hunted quite extensively. Thanks to a lot of private game reserves and game farms in South Africa, their numbers have bounced back quite significantly. So Nathan is asking, is there a reason why some antelope have multiple fur colors than others? So yeah, Nathan, every animal in the environment or out in the savannas is designed and adapted specifically to blend into their environment. So like impala blend in really well. Yeah, so each animal's kind of adapted to blend into their environment. So these blesbok social structure, they do form large herds, so there's probably a few more blesbok around here somewhere. In the wet season, their males are kind of, yeah, they're smaller territorial groups in the wet season. In the dry season, that's when they form their breeding groups, so much larger herds, and that could be to protect their little ones from any predators so that they can form little baby blesbok crushes, or schools you call them as well. So all little blesbok can be in a little school together and protect each other. So the males do establish territories and they do try to keep their females within those territories. There is a subspecies of the blesbok known as the bontebok. It's quite closely related and they do look very similar. This youngster's still got a bit of development in his colors to get through.
For years, we've shared virtual wildlife. Now, let's experience it for real. I'm Lauren Arthur, and I'd love to show you my amazing home here in the Greater Kruger of South Africa. This 5-night journey is an exclusive connection to my piece of untamed Africa. I live here in these gorgeous landscapes surrounded by epic wildlife. The wild is calling, so come and join me.
I get to wake up every morning and go out there and look for cats. I get to create my everyday safari for myself. I grew up in the sort of central eastern suburbs of Johannesburg, fully qualified trails guide and a fully qualified nature conservationist. I love the wild places. I love being in the wilderness. It's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had and probably ever could have. Out here, every wild moment matters, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel, ad-free 24/7, where you can even rewind and watch something again. Get access to behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and access to early travel offers. It is the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
the watering hole, he'd be very easy to recognize. Uh-oh. Something has spooked this boy. He's not too comfortable. There are some lions here at Tembe Elephant Park. I have seen them coming down to the watering hole to drink before. Giraffe are always very cautious of lions. Oh, he's got quite a big lump on his back there. Such a big dominant giraffe male would have to fight with a lot of other bulls, so I'm sure he's been in quite a few battles before. Oh, here's our big elephant tusker. So we have a question from Christy. So Christy is asking, do the other species of giraffe have different patterns compared to the ones we see in Southern Africa? So I think it's officially confirmed that there are, I don't know if it's between 7 to 9 different subspecies of giraffe. At one stage it was 11. And yes, so there are different species, and of course they do have distinct coat patterns, and these patterns do vary from one region to the next. So of course the different subspecies of giraffe, you get the Maasai giraffe, there's the reticulated giraffe over in Kenya, you get the southern giraffe, which is the giraffe more commonly that we see in Southern Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, of course South Africa. You get the northern giraffe, which is more prominent in West Africa and Central Africa, and of course so that is the 4 different subspecies, and within those subspecies there's probably a few different so yeah, it's constantly being divided between 11 to 4 to 7, 9, but yeah, so these are all different within the different regions. For me, the most identifiable, that looks the most different, is the reticulated giraffe. The very dark spots, very close together, yeah, almost yeah, it's very narrow little white lines in between their spots. So yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Wow, this is quite a big old elephant bull here. Have a look at him. It's a shame. You can kind of gauge the age of some of these big elephant bulls depending on obviously his ears are very tatty. He looks like he's kind of a little bit thin as well. He looks like he's definitely lived for many years in this beautiful national park. But I find in their face, their skin definitely gets a lot more sunken in on their faces, around their hips and shoulders. The older they get, they start losing condition as their teeth wear down. So generally elephants have 6 sets of teeth, which work in a bit of a conveyor belt system, whereby when one set of teeth has worn out, it moves forward and those teeth actually drop out while the next set of teeth erupts from underneath. So in most cases elephants have 6 sets. In very rare cases they've been known to have a 7th set of teeth, and once they've worn out those to that last set of teeth, then it makes feeding very difficult for them. They slowly start losing condition and then eventually die of starvation because they just can't manage to consume enough food because their teeth have worn down. So that's why elephants will always prioritize feeding soft food as opposed to hard food like bark and sticks and branches. But in some areas during the dry season they just don't have much of a choice. They do have to feed on that hard food, which wears their teeth down a lot quicker. These 2 elephant bulls look like they're still battling it out. Oh, check out these guys go. You can hear those tusks clanging together. So I have a question here from Lucky. So Lucky has Lucy. Lucy. So Lucy has asked, where is Tembe Elephant Park situated? So Lucy, Tembe Elephant Park is located in the far northeastern corner of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. So it's within the Maputoland region. It lies near the border of Mozambique and is kind of adjacent or close to Ndumo Game Reserve, if anyone knows Ndumo Game Reserve. So this park was established in 1983. This park spans about 30,000 hectares or 300 square kilometers and creates an incredible protected elephant sanctuary where historically migratory elephants moved between Maputoland and southern Mozambique. A very special population of elephants that are here. These two bulls are really having it out at each other, aren't they? So this park is such an important ecosystem, and it is co-managed by the Tembe Traditional Authority and Izimvelo KZN Wildlife, reflecting a very successful community-based conservation model. So yeah, big hats off to the organizations that protect, preserve this incredible park so that we can still see these amazing elephants. So thanks to our comments from today's wildlife lady. Thank you for joining us today here live at the Waterhole, and everyone else that has tuned in to watch this incredible show with us. Had some really good sightings today, lots of nice elephants. Of course, it's always a pleasure to spend some time with Tammy. Saw some sable over at Founders. So yeah, it's been a real treat, a real privilege. Ooh, a grey kestrel over in Aldonio. So yeah, what an epic day it has been today, live at the Waterhole. This elephant bull is, giving us a bit of a show and also saying, giving you a piece of his mind. Whoop, check these guys go. Well, I'm going to say goodbye and hope you all have a fabulous weekend and wishing you all a great week to come while we watch these incredible elephant bulls dueling it out. Have a lovely weekend, folks.